Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are going to talk about this. Sorry, I'll stop right here. Sorry, gotta be careful with spoilers. Spoilers for House of the Dragon, all of it. All right, here we go. Today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the savage death of Lucerys Valerion. All right, actually Lucerys Strong. But you know it's complicated up in House of the Dragon. All right, so let's talk about this. Okay, so what happened, and then let's break this down from the prism of Dungeons and Dragons. Let's shine the light of House of the Dragon through the Dungeons and Dragons prism and see what colors come out the other end. All right. So let's talk about what happened. So first of all, we just watched the season finale of House of the Dragon, and it was fantastic. It was really, really good. Really, really, really good. Really, really good. Wow, good. It was very good. So basically, it ended. Okay, so let me walk you through it. Here's what happens. Okay. All right. You got Rhaenyra. Okay. Actually, you have the king of the kingdom. He dies, and his wife Alicent puts her son Aegon on the throne. Rhaenyra was said by the king to be his heir, and that his born son didn't matter, wasn't going to get a seat, right? Wasn't going to get the Iron Throne. So by all rights, Rhaenyra is the queen and should be is the true heir. Okay. All right. So here's what happens. Right. Rhaenyra recognizes the moment her father dies. Rhaenyra Targaryen realizes, oh snap. Is it? Wait. Rhaenyra. Let's say, even using the last names gets confusing. Queen Rhaenyra, all right, opposed to Queen Alicent, all right. She sends her son, Lucerys Valerion, on dragon to Boros Baratheon. She sends him from Dragonstone to Storm's End, and his entire job is carrying a message from the Queen saying, "Hey, it's popping off. You swore an oath to me. Let's see your swords. Right? Let's see your army. Bring them up. I'm calling you." Right? Boros Baratheon goes, "Hey, check it out over there. That's Aemond Targaryen." Right? And he came with an offer saying that he's going to marry one of my daughters. Which one of these daughters you going to marry? All right? So Lucerys, who has sworn to his mother not to fight, which was a terrible request from Rhaenyra, right? Don't be asking your son, "Hey man, you send him off with a dragon and a sword on his side. If he needs to fight, let him fight." Right? Like, that was a bad idea. But she don't want him getting killed, right? Like, she's a mother. I get it, right? Well, I don't really get it. I'm not a mother. But but I can imagine what she's thinking, right? Like, so basically, I'm getting really sensitive to the idea of people saying, and I'm convinced half the time that term is used, people don't know what the heck you're talking about. So Lucerys is like, "Hey, I can't marry any of your daughters." And he's like, "I'm just the messenger here." So, but Aemond, and he goes, "And frankly, I don't need to marry any of your daughters. You're sworn to my mom's," right? And Boros is like, "That's a stale oath." "I don't know what the heck a stale oath is, Boros. An oath is an oath. It don't change by time, fool." Right? All right. And that don't change in IRL or in Westeros, frankly. Duh. All right. So Lucerys pops off, he's like, "Okay, I'm out, Jet, I'm by. I gave you the message." And Aemon's like, "Oh, hey, yo, you remember when we used to play back when we were young and I lost my eye? Well, I want your eye. Why don't you take this dagger and dig it out of your skull and give it to me?" Right? Now, that's pretty salty. And so, it's quite interesting, right? And so basically, then Lucerys goes off, and Aemond he pursues on his dragon Vhagar, all right? And so Aemond on his dragon Vhagar gets to Lucerys, who is going back from Storm's End to Dragonstone, and he goes up there, and it really don't even matter what he went up there for, right? Aemond is not able to control Vhagar. Vhagar and Arrax is Lucerys' dragon. They get into they start snapping at each other, and Vhagar's like 10 times, like literally 5 times, maybe 7 times larger than Arrax, and Vhagar just like chomps Vhagar in half. Vhagar chomps Arrax in half with Lucerys on his back. Kills Rhaenyra's son, Lucerys Valeron, actually Lucerys Strong, and Aemond realizes he just done screwed up bad, because he just launched all out, like daggers out, blood on every field, let's get it on, war. That's it, right? So Aemond murders Lucerys, and you're like, no, Vhagar bit Arrax in half, and Aemond didn't kill anybody. No, Aemond murdered Lucerys, right? And the reason why is, like, you ride a dragon, you didn't. If you didn't want him to die, you didn't need to take your dragon up there. The second you did, you're responsible for what your dragon does. These dragons are not speaking creatures. They're not the magical dragons of Dungeons and Dragons, right? So when you get to this point, right, and you have all this going on, where do you land, right, from a Dungeons and Dragons perspective? So first of all, if you're a dungeon master, let's not play, and you're over 18, you got to watch Rings of Power, and you got to watch House of Dragon. This is just basic equipment. This is basic life equipment for any decent dungeon master. You can't skip either one of them. That is end all be all. Every dungeon master will watch both of these, right? So, or you're not really serious about it. Well, actually, there should be a term for a sucky dungeon master. Maybe it's game master? All right, so, yeah, I think that's a good way. Like if you're not willing to do the work, you forfeit your title I believe you can actually dungeon master a game that is not Dungeons and Dragons. I think you can game master Dungeons and Dragons, right? If you ain't doing it right, you forfeit your dungeon master title, that sweet crown, right? And you become a game master. If you're not watching House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, what are you even doing? Like, and the reason why is your player characters are they're gonna want you to know modern fantasy. So like this is like basic DM equipment is watching what's happening here. So you have all this going on, right? And so where we land, right, is one. This is fantastic from a Dungeons & Dragons perspective in showing us how to, really drop fully a top claw campaign, dragon versus dragon, right? And it gives us an idea of what it looks like, what can happen, weather conditions, 3D, terrain manipulation, all these kind of things, right? But it also makes us wonder, like, okay, if we're going to get there with Dungeons & Dragons, like, so first of all, right now, okay, so if we want to put this into our Dungeons & Dragons right now as Dungeons & Dragons stands, with our D&D canon hardbacks right now, right, what's the best way to do this, right? So first of all, you could easily do this in Exandria, you can do this in Forgotten Realms, you can do this in Eberron, they all have dragons, right? So you can do exactly what you're seeing on in House of Dragon. The problem is, and this is what has stopped me from doing a very close, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones game within Dungeons and Dragons, because we don't have all the parts right now, right? And the reason why that is the design team in Dungeons and Dragons is like, we cannot let people ride dragons. We cannot let player characters ride dragons. We cannot let player characters ride dragons. They are not saying it, but they are screaming it with every book, right? We got Dragonlance House of Dragon. We got Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen coming up. I'll tell you right now, I know for a fact that book is not going to allow a player character to ride a dragon. And the reason why is if it did, they would have said it. because it would have sold books like crazy. It would have pushed the pre-orders. So the fact that they ain't said it, that means you can't do it. Okay, and I know why. If when they pulled a seal off of this is Pandora's box, right? If you let player characters ride dragons, everything else is going to seem like people are like, you want me to cut that guy with my sword after I rode a dragon for 3 seasons? For 30 sessions? That's going to be hard to go back to, right? So one, I think, and if you watch this scene, it's very clear why they do not want to they don't want to open this Pandora's box, right? But I think we all want it. We all want to be able to ride dragons in Dungeons & Dragons, right? So the one thing that really encouraged me when I watched this was the reason I haven't really fully popped. I actually have run Top Claw a few sessions, right? But that's very like a Maverick, like Dragon versus Dragon Rider campaign with steel Hellkites, right? Those aren't even real dragons; they're steel Hellkites. There you go, right? But in order to do this, one of the reasons why I was like, why would any dragon let anyone get on their back, right? And they answer that in House of the Dragon. You got to be a straight up jerk, right? The only way they get these dragons to take them as riders is they raise them from egg, right? And they chain them and they train them, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's get into this, right? So puppy mills, right? Or even, a lot of people believe that animals trained by Hollywood people are trained viciously, just absolutely savagely by their trainers, right? And that's exactly what we see in House of the Dragon. Your player characters can't control dragons the way they do in House of Dragon because everybody in House of Dragon is a straight up villain. And the way they get these dragons to obey them is straight up villainy. It's terrible, terrible treatment of animals, right? Magical animals, but that's what these dragons are. They're magical animals. The dragons in House of the Dragon are not Dungeons & Dragons like where they can talk, they can transform, they can cast spells. Like, it's different, right? They're still magical creatures, right? And I think I just haven't been able to get to the point where I'm like, is there any logical reason why a player character would be able to ride a dragon? And the one that House of the Dragon has put forward is, like, be a super jerk and, like, really, like, just punish and, savagely treat your dragon, and then they're great. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to run a campaign like that. That don't sound good. My campaigns feature heroes, not villains, right? And I think also Wizards of the Coast is aware of this too, right? But the thing that really encouraged me in this House of the Dragon thing was they showed it don't work. You can't have a player character ride a dragon. Aemond got up there, and he did not intend to kill Lucerys, right? He had already said, I ain't going to kill you. I just want your eye, right? So he did not intend for this to happen, and trust and believe him taking one flight in the rain on his dragon ended up with death. This was not good. Not good, right? Death. So the reality is this doesn't work, and there was a massive failure on the part of Aemond Targaryen, who was a good dragon rider. He wasn't even a bad dragon rider. He's a good dragon rider, right? But the reality is you can't control dragons even if you treat them incredibly cruelly, right? And so really that's what we learned here in House of the Dragon. So I think we're still figuring out as Dungeon Masters, how can we get this done? How can we have a campaign of dragon riding within the traditional sphere of Dungeons and Dragons, which is Exandria, Forgotten Realms, Eberron. Those are the big worlds right now. Barovia. You could do this up in Barovia. The Ravenloft setting. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a tough nut to crack. But I was thrilled to see this, and I think this does give us some answers on how we could get this done within Dungeons and Dragons. I'm still noodling on getting all the way there. All that's my humble opinion. I'm eager to hear your humble opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.